Tonight, we step into the rowdy, smoky, and slightly sticky world of the medieval tavern. The unsung heart of every town, the unofficial news center, and the only place where a knight, a farmer, and a bard could all get equally drunk and equally robbed. It wasn't just a place to drink. It was a place where danger, laughter, and disease mingled freely beneath a thatched roof. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to stumble through a muddy medieval street, follow the noise to a crooked wooden building, and push open a heavy door into a cloud of smoke, sweat, and warm ale? What would you drink when the water could kill you and the food had been cooking in the same pot since Monday? Who would you meet in the flickering candlelight? A hooded stranger, a boastful soldier, a sharp-eyed tavern keeper who rules the room with a ladle and a club? Tonight, we answer all of these questions and more. If this quiet journey into the past calls to you, take a moment to subscribe to Little Historical. It helps a small channel continue to uncover the forgotten stories that deserve to be told softly, with time to breathe. And let me know in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, perhaps a blanket, and let us begin. You've trudged through a muddy street that smells like a blend of horse, smoke, and questionable soup. It's raining, of course, or just finished, so everything's slick, including your only pair of shoes. You're tired, you're hungry, and you've nearly been run over by a cart full of turnips twice. You need a drink. So, how do you find a tavern in a medieval town? There are no glowing signs, no Yelp reviews, and certainly no GPS. What you have are your ears. Just follow the noise. Somewhere past the blacksmith's forge and the fishmonger yelling about his fresh river eels is a chorus of laughter, shouting, and someone aggressively singing about a goose. And there it is. A crooked wooden building leaning slightly, as if even the architecture has had one too many. Hanging above the door is a wooden sign, barely legible, with a crude painting of, is that a barrel or a bear, or maybe both? Either way, this is it. Welcome to the tavern. The front step is slick with ale, and as you push open the heavy, iron-hinged door, it lets out a creak so long and dramatic it might qualify as its own form of entertainment. Instantly, warm air and the rich perfume of smoke, wet wool, stale beer, and mystery meat hit your face like a drunken handshake. You've made it. Inside, the ceiling is low enough to make tall men duck and drunk men bump their heads. The floor is dirt. Not metaphorically. Literally. Though someone's laid down straw in an attempt to pretend it's cleaner. It isn't. There are no private booths, no waiters with menus, and no such thing as quiet conversation. This is a medieval tavern, and it only comes in two settings, rowdy and closed due to fire. You spot an open seat at a lopsided bench near the hearth, but it's wet with, what? You don't ask. Someone nearby is arguing about a stolen chicken. Another is passed out with a ladle still in his hand. A one-eyed dog gnaws a bone under a table like he pays rent there. And this, friend, is just the entrance. You've only just arrived, and already it smells like a night to remember, or forget. But before you can even think about ordering a drink, you have to find your footing in this chaos. The crowd presses in from all sides, and every surface seems to have been polished by the elbows and spilled ale of generations past. You squeeze past a man who's retelling the same story about his cow for the third time, dodge a barmaid carrying a tray of wooden mugs, and finally lower yourself onto a bench that groans under your weight. The fire crackles in the hearth, sending shadows dancing across soot-stained walls. And as your eyes adjust to the dim light, you begin to notice the details you missed at first glance, the knife scars on the table, the initials carved into the wood, the way the smoke curls lazily toward a chimney that might be stuffed with a dead crow. This is no ordinary room. This is the beating heart of the town, raw and unfiltered. And now that you're inside, the real adventure begins. The tavern keeper is watching you from behind the bar, one hand on a ladle, the other on a club. It's time to find out what kind of night this will be. The tavern keeper is watching you from behind the bar, one hand on a ladle, the other on a club. It's time to find out what kind of night this will be. Every medieval tavern has a ruler. And it's not the local lord or the tax collector. It's the tavern keeper. They may not wear a crown, but don't be fooled. This person runs the show. Equal parts chef, server, accountant, babysitter, and executioner of barroom justice. The tavern keeper is a one-person institution, and they take no nonsense. If it's a man, he's likely built like a barrel with arms, grizzled, grumpy, and carved from cured meat and bad decisions. If it's a woman, and often it is, she's sharper than a blacksmith's file and can silence a room with a single look. Either way, they've seen everything, heard worse, and cleaned blood out of straw before breakfast. They greet regulars with a nod, strangers with suspicion, and troublemakers with a tankard to the head. Behind the bar, they keep mental tabs on who's paid, who owes, and who's had 3 too many, and they do it all without writing anything down, because medieval literacy might be rare, but tavern memory is terrifying. The tavern keeper sets the tone. If they're in a good mood, the place hums. If they're in a bad mood, you'd better drink fast and keep your jokes to yourself. They're the referee in every argument, the judge in every cheating scandal, and the first to grab a club when a fight breaks out. You do not mess with the tavern keeper. They also know everything. Who's in debt? Who's having an affair? Who arrived in town under a false name? Need information. Bribe the barkeep. Need protection. Sit near them. Need a favor. Better hope you didn't break a mug last week. Some have a helper, a son, daughter, spouse, or orphan they sort of adopted and now make carry barrels twice their weight. These assistants run drinks, mop floors, and try not to spill anything or get stepped on by drunks. So, while the tavern may feel like chaos to you, it's actually a very delicate ecosystem. And in the center, commanding it all like a storm god in an apron, stands the one person keeping the ale flowing and the roof from collapsing into a riot, the tavern keeper. They are the first to arrive and the last to leave. They know where the bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. And if you're smart, you'll treat them with respect, pay your tab on time, and never, ever insult their cooking. Because in a medieval tavern, the keeper isn't just staff. They are the law, the landlord, and sometimes the judge, jury, and executioner. And right now, they're looking at you with those weathered, knowing eyes, waiting to see what you'll order, and whether you'll be trouble or just another tired traveler. You swallow hard and make your way to the bar. The night is young, and the ale isn't going to pour itself. But before you can even open your mouth, the tavern keeper grunts and points to a row of wooden mugs. Sit. Drink. Don't start anything. You nod, grab a mug, and find a spot by the hearth. The liquid is warm, bitter, and oddly comforting. Around you, the noise swells again, but you feel a little less like a stranger. You've been acknowledged. You've survived the first test. Now, it's time to see what the tavern has to offer, and what it will take from you in return. Now, it's time to see what the tavern has to offer, and what it will take from you in return. You've found your seat on a creaky bench, dodging elbows and spilled stew. Your throat is dry, your boots are damp, and your stomach is reminding you that your last meal was mostly barley and sadness. Time to eat and drink. But don't expect a wine list or a polished mug. This is a medieval tavern. Your choices are limited, lukewarm, and possibly life-threatening. Let's start with the drink. The classic is ale, unfiltered, unpasteurized, and usually brewed in the back room where the dog sleeps. It's thick, cloudy, and often comes with floatis, bits of grain, yeast, or possibly a chunk of the previous customer's mustache. It's not cold, there's no ice, and you don't ask how long it's been sitting in the barrel. You just drink and hope. Next is mead, honey wine. Sounds fancy, but in reality it's sweet, strong, and occasionally explosive. If the tavern keeper made it themselves, it might be delicious, or it might taste like regret and be venom. It's usually served to nobles, wedding guests, or that one bard who insists on being paid in gold or mead. Then there's cider, made from apples that were either freshly picked or dropped on the ground 3 weeks ago. Sharp, tangy, and served in cracked mugs that may double as soup bowls by morning. It's the drink of choice in orchard-rich regions, or for those who want something just alcoholic enough to forget the smell of the man sitting beside them. Wine. Technically, yes. But unless you're in southern Europe or the nobility is in town, it's likely watered down, soured, and served with a side of sarcasm. Good wine is reserved for lords, bishops, and the merchant who just sold 12 crates of salt. And water, that's a bold choice. Because half the time it's teeming with invisible death. Boiling costs fuel, and clean wells are rare. That's why even children drink ale. It's not about the buzz. It's about not dying of dysentery before age 8. Now, the food. There is no menu. You ask what's available and brace yourself. The answer is usually pottage or shut up and wait. Pottage is a thick stew made from whatever grains, vegetables, and questionable proteins were lying around that day. It's been cooking in the same pot since Monday, and it's now Thursday. New ingredients are added daily. Nothing is removed. It's less of a meal and more of a culinary time capsule. If meat is involved, congratulations. It's probably rabbit, pigeon, or the unlucky chicken who wandered too close to the fire. If it's game meat, it might be delicious, or it might be aged past reason and seasoned with desperation. Your bowl is made of wood or clay. Your spoon is either your own or your fingers. Most people carry their own knife, so eating is a BYO cutlery affair. And don't expect napkins. Just the sleeve of your tunic or a shared rag that's seen things it'll never forget. Bread is also on offer, tough, dark, and heavy, more a weapon than a food. If it's soft, it was baked today. If it's hard, it was baked last week. Either way, it pairs well with cheese that smells like an old boot and has started developing its own personality. Still, in the flickering firelight with noise all around, you raise your mug, sniff the ale, and take a sip. It's warm, it's bitter, and somehow it's perfect. Because in the Medieval Tavern, if it's wet and won't kill you immediately, it's a fine vintage. And as the pottage arrives, lumpy, steaming, and mysterious, you realize that survival tastes better than any gourmet meal. But the food and drink are only the beginning. The real feast is yet to come. The stories, the gambling, the flirting, and the inevitable brawl. The night is still young, and the tavern is just warming up. The night is still young, and the tavern is just warming up. As the ale flows and the fire crackles, the room transforms. The earlier chaos begins to find a rhythm, a loud, unpredictable, intoxicating rhythm. This is when the tavern shows its true colors. Not as a place to eat and drink, but as a stage. The first act belongs to the storytellers. The bard in the corner, missing a few teeth but not an ounce of confidence, launches into a ballad about a knight who fought a dragon and lost his trousers. No one believes it. Everyone listens anyway. Around the tables, ordinary patrons become poets. A farmer swears he once wrestled a bear and lived to drink about it. A merchant claims he saw a witch turn a cow into a goat. A one-eyed soldier describes a battle that grows more heroic with every sip. Truth is optional. Entertainment is everything. Then come the dice. They clatter across warped tabletops like rolling thunder. Men who cannot read can calculate odds in their heads faster than a merchant counts coins. Wagers are made in copper, bread, promises, and once, a live chicken. Cheating is expected. Accusations fly. Knives are drawn, then sheathed when the accused buys around. No one leaves angry. It's just business. And then there is the flirting. A woman with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue laughs at a man's clumsy compliment. He buys her a drink. She drinks it and walks away. He tries again. She threatens to use his own belt as a garrote. He decides to try his luck elsewhere. Across the room, a traveling merchant and a baker's daughter share a bowl of pottage. Their shoulders touch. No one notices. But the tavern keeper notices everything. And then, inevitably, the brawl. It starts over something trivial, a spilled drink, a suspected cheat, a joke about someone's mother. Or goat. Or soup. A stool flies. A mug shatters. A man falls into the hearth and emerges with his cloak on fire. He rolls on the dirt floor, extinguishing the flames while his friends laugh. No one calls the guard. No one runs. The fight is part of the entertainment. Within minutes, it's over. The fighters are separated, their wounds shallow, their pride bruised. The bard strikes up a tune. The dice roll again. And you, still clutching your mug, realize that you've stopped being an observer. You are part of this. You belong here, in the smoke and the noise and the sticky floor. The night is not over. It has only just begun to breathe. And when sleep finally claims you, curled on a straw mattress upstairs, the sounds of the tavern will follow you into dreams. Laughter, shouting, the clink of mugs, and the steady, watchful presence of the tavern keeper, who never sleeps, only waits for the dawn.